67 booger back in the garage. So I've gotten to another point where I'm just about ready to put the case halves together. Got the cam in, crankshaft, the cam, the lifters. That would be for 3/4 are in, and we're slowly getting to that point. You see there that's number one cylinder right there, pointing straight up, the tallest, and that's sort of how I've got it arranged right now. If you come around here, and you'll see that the distributor rotor is in the 5 o'clock position, and I did this a little differently than I have in the past. I went ahead and put the distributor in with the distributor drive gear and then dropped the crankshaft in and timed the distributor that way, and it took 2 attempts. I wound up having to, it was on the 4 o'clock position, which would be back pointed more towards this stud right here for the fuel pump, and I needed it to go around about 30 degrees. So I wound up having to lift the main bearing here at the flywheel up just a little bit. I just got it up out of the saddle, and then lift this one up, and then turn the distributor gear 1 cog, and that would have been clockwise. And it all worked out. Got the bearings back seated, and so it's all working out. I got it timed to the two dots and the 1 dot on the camshaft, and we're just about ready to put these halves together. Also, I've got things lined up here to put it together, so I don't have to run around and find tools and find washers. This is a new engine hardware pack that I got, I think, from CIP1, but you can see it's got the washers and washers. I think these go, if somebody could tell me I'm wrong, I think these go to the exhaust manifold. I believe those 8 there do. They look like they're copper, maybe. But here's some of the old stuff that came out, and here's some of the new stuff that's going to go in. And got the fuel pump is all cleaned up with the gaskets. Got my torque wrench set. I calibrated my torque wrench, and it turned out it's a little bit low, about 1 pound low. So anyway, we'll take care of that. Got some wrenches together, right size wrenches, the lifters that are going to go in the other half, and these are the 6 main the nuts that go on the mains for the crankcase, the main studs, the big ones. There's the cam bearings for 1, 2 side, I guess it'll be, and the washers that go right here, and that's gonna supposedly keep leaks from coming out. I guess what it is it would come up through the pressure would, if you didn't have these, would come up through here and then get up into the nuts on the outside of the case and go out. But I'm going to seal those also with some sealer, some Honda Bond. I'm just trying to keep leaks from forming. I think I've got just about everything together here to get the case halves together. And so if you've got any questions or answers, please let me know. So, wanted to show you some reference books I've been using, and some of these are new and some of them are pretty old. This one right here, I bought this in, I think, 1973, and it was $5, and that was a lot of money for me at the time, but I wanted to build a kind of a engine that was, I wouldn't call it hot rod, but had a lot more power, and on a Baja I was making. And this book worked pretty well. It only goes up and talks about in the book up to 1971 and 1200 through 1600, so pretty old book. It's 2024 now, so I've had this book a long time. This one is reasonably new. I like this book. It has a lot of real good information. I found out that the engine I'm working on right now, that AH case, is 1973, and that was in this book. It's got, if I can find it, yeah, this book has a lot of information on numbers and case numbers and abbreviations and on engines and chassis. It's real helpful as far as finding out what you're doing, what you have. This one pretty much 66, 67, 68, 69 official service manual, and it was $14.95 when it was new, and I didn't buy it new. I just bought it recently. Had something I found in here that I thought was real interesting, and I see people, they will say, well, you probably need to, on the internet, say, well, you probably need to stretch these tubes out a little bit, so they'll all kind of mate up to the head and the case. And this right here says, this is a C, I believe, and it says pushrod tubes with seams upward for perfect sealing of, and must be stretched if necessary to specified length. Oh, and that's an A, that's not a C. And A is 7.48 inches to 7.52 inches, so 7.5 inches. And I just picked that up on this particular page here, but it's got a lot of good information in this book, and this is what I mainly use for reference. I've got this workshop manual. This goes up through 1970, 13 and 1500. It's pretty interesting, but it only shows a diagram here that is showing 2 oil relief. It's got a 1 relief on this drawing and 2 reliefs on this one, so it doesn't really go up to the AH case, but it's good for reference. So anyway, just wanted to show you these books that I have been using for reference. All seem like pretty good books. when I built my Baja in 1973, I used this hot rod book for reference, and I wound up using a Holley bug spray carburetor and a lot of hot rod parts on it. Had the heads fly cut 100 thousandths, and it was still a 1200, but most of the parts I could buy back then I couldn't get locally to hot rods, so I wound up buying them through J.C. Whitney, which was had a lot of Volkswagen parts in that catalog at the time. Everything was cataloged. There was no internet back in those days. You just had a catalog and read what you could and put things together how you thought they'd work. And this book helped me get a really nice Baja engine built. It was still a 1200, but it had what they called, I think they at J.C. Whitney they called it a 3/4 cam, which I don't know, and then they had a full race cam, 3/4 and half and mild, and that's kind of how they went. They didn't go into a whole lot of specifications in the small ads that they produced in this catalog, but anyway, it would really run. It was quite an engine for just 1200 cc's, and for a 19-year-old boy, that was a pretty cool car to have. And most of the information came out of this book. I didn't have anything like this. That looks like a hot-rodded engine right there. But anyway, used a lot of the information in this book, mostly the engine information, to build it. It was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun with it. I had the car for probably 10 years after I built it. It was a 1965 originally, but they go through here and they explain a lot of really neat stuff. You didn't have the part selection that you have now, but the parts seem to be pretty good quality, and they're still showing a lot of stuff they're still using today. But very interesting at the time to me, and I was just going through this book and picking up all the information I could, and it turned out pretty good. It turned the key over and it ran really well. I used a manifold like this, and they actually said in there that using that bug spray that you don't want to use this one. Now, I'm not going to go back and try to research that, but it's pretty interesting. There's where it says don't use the plenum, however you would pronounce that. But I wound up with a really good engine that lasted a long time, and I kept it revved up pretty much. It didn't idle a lot. Me and a buddy of mine had a brand new Camaro with a new engine at the time, and I think he called it an L88 cam, and he bought it brand new, had a 4-speed, and we decided to race, and we got out on a lonely stretch of road and said go, and that little Volkswagen, I went through third gear and he was behind me, and when I hit fourth gear he whizzed by me about 30 miles an hour faster than I was going. So it was fun up to a point, and then Camaro got me. It was a lot of fun, but we enjoyed it. So the next video I'm going to do will be showing putting the case halves together. I think I've got everything ready to do that, so we'll just try to get that done and show it in a video. I'm not going into a whole lot of detail, but some things I thought I'd show in a little more detail, and I hope this helps somebody.